All right. Yeah, I'm glad you can do that. I'm glad that it's, that you're functioning in that way.
Hey, Sam.
Hi, Dawn. I'll just die. Hi, Baba. I tried. Okay. All right. Bye.
Dark in here.
Hi, Cindy. Are you still working out with Zig? Yeah, even in this chilly weather.
Yep, we're there. Die Hards.
Huh?
It was nice
All right.
yesterday. I was looking for you. It was really nice.
Well, I had some other things I had to do yesterday, or else I would have been there because it did feel like a nice night for working out. Yeah.
Yeah. We're keeping it going.
Good.
Then it dropped 30 degrees today.
I know.
It's Michigan. Come on.
Yeah.
Right.
We are
Next
used
week's
to
supposed to
that.
be nice.
When I saw snow this morning, I thought, well, I guess it's March. Like,
Yeah, we should have a snowstorm this month. Usually do.
Yeah.
I'm thinking there's gonna be a lot of people tonight with the
I'm here.
Oh, yeah.
school thing.
I think you're right. Hi, Sandra. You gotta unmute yourself.
Is it Dania Bazzi? Is that the correct pronunciation?
I think it's Dania,
Okay.
but
Yeah, hi, I'm Jamie with the schools. It's Dania Bazzi, Dr. Bazzi.
Yeah.
thank you.
Like jazzy hands, Bazzi.
Think as
But
I'm
the
now trying to be like, what's the IPA for me to make a note of this? What? Yeah.
It doesn't have
Jazzy is good for me to think.
So am I going to, because we want to record this meeting, James Stottlemeyer, I think, is she going to want to do, how is she going to do her PowerPoint? Do you know?
Oh, she'll present her screen. She has a short PowerPoint ready to go.
Okay. Because the last time somebody tried to do that, I had to give up the hosting and I don't know how to handle that.
Yeah, she'll tell you. She's an expert at this kind of stuff. She's good with technology. So
I should take a class from her, huh?
yeah.
And Dawn, you're recording now, just so you know.
Okay. Thank
Like,
you. I must
live.
have done the auto record. I
So
see it now.
nobody's saying anything incriminating.
Right.
Lips are sealed.
Start video.
Hi, Pat.
Hi.
There you are.
Yeah, I'm here.
You made it and we can hear her. Okay.
There's Sam.
Yep. Hi, Carrie. Hi, Alan. Hi, David and Glenn. Hi, Jerry.
Don, why do we have a view to your side? Why don't you appear facing the camera?
Because I teach yoga and this is a webcam, so I have it aimed at me back here. And if I had it on, I could probably just use my regular camera, then I wouldn't be on the side. Let's see. There we go. It's just different lighting. The cameras have much better lighting than the ones on the computer, but this is fine.
Oh, now I lost the picture. Now I lost the picture. What's Jay?
Jerry.
I lost the picture. I lost the picture.
Tap on your
Okay.
screen somewhere. Maybe it
Oh,
will
I
come
got
back
it
up.
now. I got it now.
Okay, good. Dania's entering the meeting now. Hello, Carrie. Now we get to see her face. Hi.
Hi, Connie. How are you? Hi, everybody.
Yeah. Hi, Cheryl. Hi, Lucy.
Mm.
Hi, Alex. Says there's 4. Oh, there we go. Okay.
Drivers, where are they gonna pick trash at? Well, that's one of the things he always says to me is, time where it's like, I'll keep working, I won't realize it's time to take a break. What you gotta do, make them look bad? Yeah. It's like, no, I just didn't know, nobody yelled at it.
Dawn, do you have the power to mute people?
I don't know. Well, I guess I have to see who. Sam's not muted. Sylvia's not. I don't know who it is.
Yeah.
It might be the iPhone. It's just, let's see.
Well, they just muted.
I muted them, but yeah.
Oh, okay.
Just because they didn't have the mute button on, so that was probably that was the indicator I was going for.
I'm mad with power. Not true.
I think for future reference, when you set up the Zoom meeting, you should be able to set it up so that when people enter, they're muted automatically.
Yeah, I didn't do it, but I know you're right. You're right about that.
What's that? It's a
Well,
jingle.
Dawn, is everybody in? Is there anybody?
That's waiting at the moment. Everyone's in, and it's only 7:01. So maybe just wait for a minute or two and see. We're at 34, and normally we have about 29 or 30 people. Let's see if.
Excellent. For the hot ticket tonight.
Yeah.
Sandra, are you trying to speak?
Couple more people checking in now. So Sandra, if you must have a volume button because you're not muted. We can't hear you, honey. Aw.
I could never sit through one of those.
It might also be an audio situation.
Yeah.
Like as far as something being plugged in or not.
All right, so maybe just one more minute and we can get started.
Thank you, everyone who was prompt.
Jeffrey, whenever you feel like you want to get started, I'll still admit people.
I think that's great. I think it's funny that I have this power and I don't want it.
Such a good job at it.
In our flyer out to everyone in the community, we're looking for some help with the minutes for the meeting. I don't know if there's anybody here who'd be interested in assisting. Sam has graciously been doing it, and if by chance anyone is interested in being a minute taker or note taker for any of our meetings, please let us know. It would be a great help.
Yeah, it could be two people that take turns even, not one person for every time.
I could give it a shot if you.
Zig, if you want to, that's great. I'm sure
Ziggy,
Sam would feel relieved.
Ziggy, you could, but there are other people out there that should be able to help us out. Seems like it's
Okay.
it's always
Yeah,
the same people. So we would be looking for some new volunteers.
Yeah.
Instead of the
Yeah.
same people all the time.
Yeah, I'll pass for now.
This is
I can take notes. Minutes for today.
if you want, Regina, that'd be great.
Thank
And
you.
like honestly, it can rotate, and we're not signing up for a lifetime commitment of anything. This is also clearly the most important matter. No. Well,
100%.
we're
I'm happy to do it.
thank you, thank you. We are happy tonight to have Dr. Dania Bazzi with us from Ferndale Schools, and James is here. James Stottlemeyer, also from Ferndale Schools, right?
Yes. We also have Bill Good here.
Hmm?
We also have Bill Good from our school district.
Excellent. Thank you. I should know everybody, but I don't because I didn't go to Ferndale Schools and loosely pay attention to what's happening. But we're happy to have you here to share with us what's going on over at Jackson, in the CASA part. So I'm gonna just turn it over to you for the presentation, and then we can take questions.
Sounds good. Thank you. I appreciate you giving us some time this evening to share some information with the group. What I want to ask is it possible for me to be able to share my screen for a PowerPoint?
Just tell me what button I need to press. Do I just make you the host for this?
Yeah, and then you have to trust me and I'll make you the host back, but I promise I will.
I trust you, Dania. Thank you.
Thank you.
The transfer of power.
Here we go. She's got it now.
Perfect. And I promise to give it back. All right. Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Yes.
And I have to admit people. So if you see me space out for a second, just because now I have to admit the
People who are waiting.
the people who are waiting. Let me see if I can do one thing just to, let me see if. Yeah, no, it won't let me make a co-host, but all right, I will let people in, no worries. We've become Zoom professionals, so I can do the presentation and admit people at the same time. So thank you again. My name is Dania Bazzi. I'm the superintendent of Ferndale Schools. As was shared, we have Jamie Stottlemeyer, who's our executive director of operations and facility, and Bill Good, who's our director of communications with us. So we want to go through a little bit with regards to Jackson Park, which I know that residents in the impacted area have received some information for us. Just wanted to share some more in person and be able to give you some opportunity to ask us any questions that you might have. So what's being proposed? So back in March of 2020, right before March 10th, right before the onset of the pandemic, voters approved $124 million bond for major improvements to facilities within Ferndale Public Schools, which included the building a brand new state-of-the-art elementary school at the CASA site. So again, voters approved for us to build a $25 million new K-2 elementary building at that site. So the map that you're looking at, currently the school district owns all the land that is not highlighted in the red box. The red area is the part that the city currently owns, and then the rest of the land is what we own. So when we took it to voters, basically the plan was to establish a school at that site because the current Ferndale Lower sits, many of you know it as Roosevelt, sits on Pinecrest and sits on a little over 3.5 acres of land. It's just too small to be able to build a new elementary at that site. And so the idea was to move the CASA program to Ferndale Lower, because CASA usually has between 200 and 300 students a day, and it's only utilized for half of the day for that programming. So we'd still be able to keep CASA within the district and also then facilitate a new elementary school. So that's what was approved. This piece of land that is Jackson Park, the reason that we wanted to utilize it is obviously for spatial reasons, so that we're building a school that meets the needs of our community in terms of green space, playground space, a walking loop around the building, and just to be able to have the space to make sure that things are not cramped together and then have issues with pick up and drop off and things that are associated. So if you want to know more about the bond that was approved, you can visit ferndaleforward.com, and there's a lot of information with regards to that. So who's impacted by this? And this just gives you an aerial view of what we're talking about. So again, in this picture, in the black is what land the school currently owns. And then the dotted line is what is owned by the city. So again, why do we need to vote? There is a deed restriction on the land that the city owns, and we've come to an agreement with the city to purchase the land. The issue becomes the land is only available, basically the only thing that can be done on that land with besides park space is single family homes. So there's a deed restriction that says the way that you can utilize this is for single family homes. So even if we wanted to build a playground, a parking lot, which again, that's not the plan for this part of the land, but we wouldn't be able to do it without lifting the deed restriction. And so that's where the community comes in. Now, specifically, who gets to vote for this? We received the addresses from the Oakland County Registrar of Deeds. There's about 1,200 voters, and this map gives you an idea of the impacted space. So that's who's received the ballot, that's who's received the informational flyer. So this is what we have to do. And again, the process we're following is what's required by law for us to do in this particular situation. So what happens if you vote yes? A yes vote will allow us to utilize the full 11 acres to have a cohesive plan for the vote. A no vote would limit our ability to optimize the space and site design. So the school is still going to be built, but it would just restrict our spacing. It might force us in having to put a second story on the building. We want to be able to lift this deed restriction because we really want to create a space that you can be proud of, that your children and grandchildren and community can use. We, like you, love our trees, love our green space, and we plan to maximize that and ensure that it's a space that is maintained, that is beautiful, and that can be enjoyed for generations to come. So again, as you saw on the map here, the space is really it's not that much utilized except for walking and enjoying the green space. You're still gonna have green space on the land, and it's gonna be better space. As we said, we have to have, by code, you have to have a fire loop around the entire building, which doubles as a walking trail. We have to have an abundance of playgrounds because it's a K-2 building. We have to have some open space for our kids. And we've always been community partners and always will. This will be land that you will be able to utilize as well. And so, that's what we're asking for, the flexibility to optimize the space. So this is just this is a really rough rendering, okay? And the reason is to design a school, it takes a really long time to design the space internally from the inside out. Ultimately, right, we know that there's specific things that are going to be in a school. There's going to be the building itself, there's going to be playground, there's going to be a bus drop off, there's going to be parking, right? That we have to have those things. But again, we see that it's pretty cramped when we're limited not to be able to utilize the other space. Now, I know there's concerns about the trees and green space, and we're going to do everything we can to minimize loss of trees, but also planting and replacing trees as through construction things happen, right? Roots are damaged, things that are just out of control. But the plan is to have as much green space as there currently is. And really, an investment in that area, I truly believe it'll benefit the residents in terms of property value and then access to a beautiful space that can be utilized by your family. So again, I know we're getting a lot of questions of what does it look like exactly? And we're really still, we're still in the design process that we still have a little under a year to complete. And so we know that, as I stated, it's gonna have a school, park, playgrounds, drop-off, pick-off loops, walking paths, parking lots. And so we need to ensure that we maximize the space. Now, as we go through those renderings, we will come back and present to the city and to groups to get input and to make sure that we're honoring the aesthetic and the functionality that's important to the community. And we don't take that lightly. We know that by passing this bond, you entrusted us with your tax dollars to do what's best for our students, and we're committed to doing that. So that level of commitment in terms of including the community as we get to those design phases, that will happen. Ferndale Lower Elementary School has currently been in existence since 1921. It's approaching its 100th year birthday. We are building a building that we believe will also be here for the next 100 years. And we're investing a lot of dollars and commitment to the space so that it is something, again, we can be proud of for a long time. So a lot of questions with regards to the ball field. The ball field obviously will be at a loss in that area, but the city has committed to invest in other ball fields in the area to ensure that citizens still have the ability to utilize baseball fields within the city. So we're confident that citizens will still have options for baseball fields that meet their needs. So before I get into questions, if you go to www.ferndaleschools.org/deed, so if you just go to our website and just add deed to the end of the URL, it will take you to this site. And it basically has a video of our meeting that's similar to this, where we kind of had a town hall to discuss this. It also has, the map information, what's being proposed, and then includes a lot of frequently asked questions. So as we've been getting a lot of phone calls and emails, and as we have those, we're putting them on this website so we can direct people to get a lot of their questions answered, if they have questions. So again, this list will continue to grow and will continue to answer questions as they arise. So again, if you go to ferndaleschools.org/deed, it'll take you to this page that has a lot of frequently asked questions. Jamie, is there anything you wanted to add?
Do you want to show them what the actual ballots look like? Click on that.
Yeah. Is it on this site? I'm sorry if I'm missing it.
No, Bill had pulled it up last time. Bill, is it on that site? the actual, what the ballots look like and how they fill them out?
All right, I can
It
get
was,
to it.
yeah, if not, I can add it back. I thought it was on there, but I don't see it right now, but I can certainly throw it back on there.
Okay.
I'm gonna pull it up from my email, but I paused the share for 1 second.
Like Dania was saying, though, it takes a long time to design this building. We have a world-class architect that designs schools all over the country, and they're amazing at it. They have a huge team working on this project, but it does take a long time. We're just doing spatial planning right now. We don't even have an idea of where the actual building will be on that site, so they're still trying to work out those details. But it is planned for currently a 90,000 square foot building. We'd like to keep it 1 story. That's why we were, hopeful of getting the whole property. And that'll give us a lot more flexibility on where everything goes. I just, as things progress, we'll be able to share that information with the community, and we'll probably have a series of town halls where we'll take, input. Oh, there we go.
So this is the ballot that will be mailed to you if you live in the.
I already got one.
Yep, you already got it. And so basically, look for this envelope. This is from us. Read the information in terms of what's being proposed. And then however you vote, you will sign and put your vote. We do have a self-addressed envelope that it comes with. We were told that it doesn't exactly fit in the right way. It's okay if you fold it to get it to fit in the envelope and send it back to us. So again, this is the process that the attorney and the city and the registrar of deeds advised us on doing, and this is the process to get a deed.
Great, thank you. Should we dive into some questions? I see there's quite a few happening in the chat here, so
Yeah.
Well, I'll jump right in if nobody else is. As soon as I heard you say, I want to say one thing. I'm on the steering committee of the neighborhood association, and I voted to invite you as a guest. And as you know, we've always been very supportive of the Ferndale schools and backed all the millages and whatever. And the concern I have is it's fairly narrow. People have greater ones than this, is the line of trees that are there. And I wrote to, you said we'd try everything, or I forgot how you put it, try your best to maintain them. And I wrote, that means they're going to chop them down. I'm sorry, but I've seen situations like this before. And the person I sent it back to said, probably. I don't know why there can't be a commitment to leaving the trees, period. Then I'm just going to hit yes, and you got my vote. If you're just saying, well, we're going to try our best, I know that the saws are already being sharpened.
The biggest concern in our city is to save the trees. I love this
So I understand what you're saying. I hear you. There's things that come up in construction. The trees in the area, from what I'm told from the community members who have expressed similar concerns, is those trees are close to 100 years old. So when you're digging land and putting borings and things like this, it impacts roots of trees. So at times with trees that are that old, there's a difference between a mature tree and a tree that's close to 100 years old. So there might be loss due to construction because it impacts the roots or things of that nature. In our design, we are going to do everything we can to preserve the trees that the community has stated. And if you notice that piece of land, the small strip that borders the homes, there's going to be minimal usage for that particular piece. What we're really interested is the side of the ball fields. Because if we build the school closer to that side, it will allow us to keep CASA and functioning while we're building the elementary. If not, it could possibly displace that program for a year. So we love our trees. We understand what you're saying. We hear you. Unfortunately, I don't, my word is very important to me, and I don't want to say something and then because of construction, a machine or something happens and, we're told that we didn't keep our word.
I mean, in theory, if you look at the piece of land, you're allowing even more for y'all to build there. So that should be a vote for keeping the trees by allowing the extra space. I went over today and looked at the 50 feet is what was said at the last meeting about like they can't build within 50 feet of the fence line. That's true?
Correct.
Okay, so there's about 10 trees on the other side of the 50 feet line, and most of them are in that safe zone too, just if that makes anyone feel any better, from my very unscientific measuring. But we do have some questions.
Jeffrey, I
had a couple concerns that I wanted to pose real briefly, and then I'll let you answer them. One, it was stated that they showed the impact area and that all the registered voters in that area have been given a ballot to vote. So on one point, I think when you're talking about something where it involves all the taxpayers that approved this bond, which I was one of them that voted yes for this bond, that all of us should have a voice, but certainly the ballots are not being sent to every registered voter in even the impacted area. Only one ballot is being sent to a particular household. I have my wife here and myself here. We have to pick whose voice counts and whose doesn't. And I don't think that's right. I feel like that's suppressing people's voice. The second issue that I have a concern with is that we talk about we're making commitments for other people. We talk about a commitment from the city to replace the ballpark. I have seen nothing come from the city. I spent a couple hours today on the phone with the city, and frankly, the things that I got were that nobody in the city that I talked to knew that any of this was going on, with even lifting the deed restriction. And that was the city of Oak Park, and this is an Oak Park park, not a Ferndale or not a Ferndale school. So I don't see how the Ferndale schools can commit the city of Oak Park to doing something. I think if we're going to take that into consideration, then we need something from the city of Oak Park that guarantees that's going to be done. The other issue is that you said that this is being done in accordance with the law, but neither, when we talk about any voting, those go through. Typically, those go, as far as I know, I don't know of anything that doesn't go through the city clerks. I served on 2 terms on the Board of Education in Roseville Community Schools. Anything that we put up for a vote went through the city clerks. You got both city clerks in Ferndale and Oak Park saying that they had no idea of this and that they doubt that this would even legally remove the deed restriction, even if people voted for it. But we're not giving everybody the voice. We're not even giving everybody in the impacted area the voice to say how they feel. And I'm not saying that I would be against it or for it. I would just say I don't feel like we're following the process properly. But who is this authority that we're getting this from? Who is going to be counting these ballots? Who is the overseeing body? Because the clerks don't know anything about it. And those are just 3 of my major concerns, and the other ones I'll leave for later. Maybe you'll be speaking to those, or someone else might ask those, because I do have concerns about the green space and the trees, and I don't see where that gets you really that much more that you need when we can save that park space. But those are those 3 questions I think are very major issues that need to be addressed. Why all the voters in the impacted area, and certainly why all the voters that are registered in the Ferndale School District aren't being given a voice on this. Why, and then the other two issues that I had mentioned, why, who's overseeing the vote to even determine, who are the yes votes and who are the no votes, and how is this process being done when nobody knows, and who gave the schools the authority to speak for the city of Oak Park?
Let's start there.
I'll do my best to answer all the questions. So the first question, as it relates, why is it not all people within Oak Park? Because the deed restriction specifies it has to be people who live on the Oak Park subdivision plat. So we can't determine that. If we went and got all of the voters of Oak Park, that county registrar wouldn't accept the other votes because it has to be homeowners on that particular plat. That's what the deed restriction specifies. So that's the first question. The second question, I apologize, I'm not speaking for Oak Park. In our discussions, there is a baseball field at the formerly known as Best Middle School. There's Best Park that has another diamond where their goal is to help improve that field. The issue is the ball field issue is an issue because, again, we own part of the land that the ball field sits on. And again, the voters approved the ballot measure that has us building a school at that site. So the ball field's going to be impacted either way. And so we're not speaking for them. And, I apologize if that seemed the way it was. That was not my intention. This subject has been on many city agendas, council meetings, planning commission meetings. So it is something that we've discussed in public within the city of Oak Park, discussing for over a year since the ballot initiative passed. Discussions have started up with the mayor and council and city managers. So they are aware. Now, to the vote, again, this is dictated by the county deed. This is the process we were told to follow. So that's why we're doing it. It would be easier if it went to like a formal election. It's very difficult to do it in this manner. So I agree. I wish it was differently where we could just put it on a ballot and have the impacted homes do it, but this is the process, because obviously with the mailing, we expect to get 20 to 30% responses, and then we have to follow up with the rest based on that. In terms of counting, I have no problem to allow people to keep all the ballots sealed and count it in public. I have no issue doing that. The thing is, when we submit it to the Oakland County Registrar of Deeds, it's to have the homeowner's name and signature, and we have to turn in all those ballots. So obviously we would never falsify any documentation, but it has to all be turned in so that they can confirm the process. I do agree with you. It's a peculiar process. That's what's been outlined by attorneys and in the Oakland County Registrar of Deeds. So I understand the confusion and I hear you, but that is the process we were told to follow, and that's why we are following it. As far as the voting, again, it was told to us that it's one of the homeowners or the homeowner who would be able to give their vote. So I understand the frustration through the Oakland County Registrar of Deeds. That was the process again. We were told. So your concerns are valid. They make sense. But sometimes government has their own way of us doing things.
Sam has a question asking about the return date for the ballot. I guess it's not on there. When are the due dates?
So we need to, basically it's until we get enough to see if there's more no votes, or yes votes. So we would like them returned obviously as soon as possible. We know where we're at. But for it to either pass 50% plus one vote, or for it to fail, we need 50% plus one vote. There's 1,200. So as soon as we get to 601 either way, that's when it's kind of over.
Okay. So everybody vote quickly. Let's see. Cheryl, you have your hand raised. Do you have a question?
I do, thank you.
Sure.
And in disclosure, I'm also writing a story about this for the Oakland County Times, so thank you. Some of the questions I had were actually answered already, but one thing that I've noticed on social media is people are asking, did you realize there was a deed restriction before you bought the property? And was that publicized? That's one question. Another question I have is, over the years, those of us that have been here for a long time, there have been issues with Ferndale administration asking for bond issues that we have approved, and within a few years, the schools have been demolished. So there is a lack of trust. And understandably, this is a new administration, this is a new board, this is a new generation. What, if anything, are you doing or plan to do to rebuild trust in the community?
So to your first question, I apologize, Cheryl. Can you help me? Can you help me? I'm so sorry.
Sure. The first question was, did you realize there was a deed restriction before you bought the property, and was it publicized as so?
We have not purchased the property at this point.
It's not purchased yet?
Yeah, we have an agreed purchase agreement that is dependent on the deed restriction. Our intention was, because even with the deed restriction, say we said, well, it's okay, we can't to the land. We can't even build a playground because the deed restriction limits it to a single family home. We can't even put park space there because we can't change anything on it until the deed restriction is lifted. So in actuality, homes could be built right now with the deed restriction. So when people say, well, it's guaranteed, if we vote no, then it's guaranteed to be green space. Well, not exactly. The land is usable for single family homes. So we did not purchase it for that reason. We wanted to be transparent and open, and that's why we're trying to secure the deed restriction, the transfer of ownership. In terms of trust, I understand what you're saying. Ferndale Schools, like many other schools back in 2010 to 2015, experienced a lot of financial difficulty, and the financial state of schools. The schools were not funded properly at the time, and it caused school districts to make really difficult decisions. So with this bond, Jamie and I, who is the Director of Operations, and Bill Good, we have tried to remain open and accessible to the community. We are in it for the long term. Jamie and I often speak on how this bond was passed to cover 10 years worth of infrastructure changes, and we're committed to seeing these projects through. We love Ferndale, we love the city of Oak Park. We only want to do things that make the community proud and that give our students the very best spaces to learn and grow. So what I can tell you is in the past 5 years, Ferndale Schools has experienced great growth. We've seen our financial situation really improve. We've seen our student count stabilize. We've seen improvement of programmings and offerings to our students. So we have really built a district that people can be proud of. They want to send their children. We just want to match the facilities to all of the other improvements we've done. We can do it, and it takes time to prove it, but this is the start of my 4th year in the district. And we've demonstrated that the Ferndale is for the long term. to see these projects through. And we expect that the community hold us accountable. We appreciate that about the community, and we want you to ask us the difficult questions. But I assure you, we're doing what's best for kids and what's best for the community. And we want to invest that the community can be proud of.
There's a question in the chat asking if the deed restriction is a public document or if that can be read or the text of it can be found anywhere.
Jamie, do we have a copy of the deed restriction?
Yes, I believe we do. So it is a public document. It can be found by contacting the Oakland County Register of Deeds.
And if you send me an email, we'll track it down and send.
We'll track it down and send it out.
And I'll put my email in the chat.
Sorry, scrolling.
But the other thing I wanted to mention, as far as building trust, we do have a new administrative team, and we have been holding public forums. We've spoke to every group that we can. We're always out there. We're always available. I had a gentleman from Oak Park call me today, and I talked for 25, 30 minutes about this project and stuff. So we have a level of transparency, I think, that they haven't had in the past. We do try and put everything up on the website so it's accessible. And like Dania said, we're a phone call or an email away, and we'll be there to answer questions as we go through this. And we are going to hold more public forums as we move along so that people can see where we're at with the progression of the projects. But it does take a long time to build the building, so it is a slow process.
Sam, do you have questions you want to ask too? You do, right? Yeah, you're muted.
We can't read lips.
I've got a little bit of a soapbox. It's under 5 minutes, but if you'll indulge me, I'd like to speak my piece. Within this, there are 4 questions for Dr. Bazzi. This is the most important construction project in my 35-year residency, more so than City Hall, Kroger, and Federal Express by far. It is critical that it be allowed to maximize its potential. I am in full agreement that the old growth trees should be preserved. However, allowing the deed restrictions to stand, negating the sale of the 4 acres from the city to the Ferndale School District, and forcing the district to design on 7 versus 11 acres would be a huge, irrevocable error and may force the taking of more trees than they would have otherwise. It is a mistake on the part of the school district to ask residents to vote without seeing the 2 alternatives, but there it is. It is a mistake on the part of residents to assume that school district leaders are akin to greed-driven developers who would pave paradise and put up a parking lot. Their goals are ours, a beautiful school that functions efficiently as an integral part of the neighborhood and an asset to the community. They understand the irreplaceable value of those trees. Nowadays, one of the key elements of an elementary school is pick up and drop off. One designs that flow for efficiency as regards the adjacent streets. Without the additional 4 acres, traffic design is limited to access to Oak Park Boulevard and Rosewood. With the additional 4 acres, traffic flow can include Kenwood. Look at the existing site maps that delineate the 4 acres in question. A full half of the trees closest to Oak Park Boulevard are within the school district's land. Might keeping the deed restrictions force the design to bring traffic in from Oak Park Boulevard and exit Rosewood, taking trees already on school district land to accommodate the flow? It's possible. With the additional acreage, they have more options and can better protect the trees. Squeezing the design may force more impingement on the trees than if they have the 11 acres to spread out on. Why can't your designers put together rough sketches focused on differences in overall design between 11 and 7 acres and present them? Conversely, why can't you guarantee the preservation of trees or some high percentage of the trees if the entire 11 acres are available for design? Over time, as folks age in place, there may be less need for elementary schools. It is conceivable that the district may want to close the school and sell the assets or a portion of it. Why can't the parties, the City of Oak Park and the Ferndale School District, include as part of the sales agreement a binding commitment that the land use will remain in perpetuity solely for education and green space, or some such agreeable language? Why not include the status of the trees as well? Let the transfer of property include agreements in perpetuity beyond the good intentions of this administration that satisfy the justifiable concerns of residents. If the deed restrictions stand, the land can be sold by the City of Oak Park for development of single-family homes. Even if our mayor would never do that, no one can speak to what the future may hold. Now is the time to lock in that land use for green space and education in perpetuity by lifting the deed restrictions and adding appropriate caveats to the sale. Of those attributes that make a community attractive to young families, state-of-the-art schools has to be on the top of the list. Let the school system build the best school they can. It will be a source of pride that will increase property value.
Thank you, Sam.
Thank you, Sam. I really appreciate your words and wholeheartedly agree with, with everything you said. I have to check with our legal counsel. I don't know the answer. I know when schools purchase land, there's certain restrictions that we just can't put on as a public school. I don't think they're legal. It's why the land that somebody had mentioned earlier in the past was sold to developers, because there's certain restrictions you can't put on a school, meaning a charter school could come into the neighborhood or other types of things. But I have to get the legal answer to that. I don't know the answer. As far as the design, I'm gonna pass that one off to Jamie and explain what, and we will push the architects, but I'm gonna give him that one of why we don't have renderings.
The hard part is and it's so early on in the progression of the design. They just now nailed down the square foot sizes for the cafeterias, for the classrooms, for the hallways and stuff. They don't even have the shape of the building yet. So it is really premature, whether or not it's going to be a main street with finger wings off of the back, kind of like Upper Elementary is. They haven't come to that decision yet. So really, the reason we need to know whether or not we have all 11 acres is so that they can look at that shape and how it can be spread out on that site and how best to preserve the trees and maintain the property in the best possible form. They are doing their due diligence, moving along with the design, but it is really early. Like Dr. Bazzi said, we will try and press them to come up with a design, but it's really hard until we get that, pinned down. And that's, we're still probably a couple months away from that process.
And everybody, this is Bill Good. One of the things I just want to add to what Jamie and Dania said is somebody asked a great question earlier about how do you build trust when we've had a lack of trust with the community. And part of that is we don't want to show you something that you're going to get in your head of this is where it's going to look like, this is the way it's going to get laid out. And then you vote yes. And then 8 months from now, we have to change the design based on something new we find out that was an unforeseen circumstance. And then you're going to get mad that, oh no, that's not what you guys said we were going to do. And so again, our hope here, I understand how folks could see this as, maybe we're trying to hide something, or we're trying to get you to vote yes, and then do a bait and switch. And I understand the lack of trust completely. But again, our hope is we don't want to erode trust. We want to build trust. And part of that is we don't want to show you something that, again, could change down the line and gate your commitment based on incorrect information.
And the other thing is there's a lot of complexities with that site. You have the Ithaca Avenue easement where there's a storm sanitary sewer that was put in for potential property development back in the 50s that never came to fruition. So we have that limitation that we're working with the civil engineers in the city on. So they really are having a lot of things to contend with when they talk about how this building will be placed on the site. We're going to be doing soil borings pretty soon to see how the soil bearing capacity is going to hold up. And that may depend on where the footings go in, where the building can be located. So there's a lot of variables that have to be overcome, along with the design process just goes through a lot of iterations. So they're going to keep tweaking it to get the best possible design. And then when you mentioned it, traffic flow. That's another big consideration. In our very first meeting, I will say to everybody, the first thing that came out of our mouths is protect the trees as best you can. So that's, the architect and the civil engineers, and they're all aware of that. And they're taking that into consideration. We did look at very, very conceptual placements of the building. We looked at 4 different potential placements of the building, and it would benefit us a lot to have that extra space on the south side there where the park is now, because that would allow them to stretch out the bus loop so that they can make sure that we don't have traffic building up on Rosewood. We don't have traffic building up on Oak Park, that we have enough space on site to get all of our traffic onto our property during pickup and drop off times. So they are, that's another factor that they're considering. But I don't, do you have any other questions? You went through a lot there.
Well, one of the key questions I had is more for our mayor, is that in this agreement, can there be caveats put in place that holds the school district's feet to the fire, not only for the sake of this administration, but in perpetuity? And Dr. Bazzi's response was she needed to look into that further. What do you know about it from the City of Oak Park's point of view? You're muted, Marian.
Yeah, it's a new question, and so we would need to consult our attorneys. If you send me that document that you read, we will send it to the attorneys and get you an answer. Is it possible, and is it a good idea? We will certainly look into it.
Marian?
I agree with you 100% that this is a phenomenal thing for the City of Oak Park and Ferndale Schools. And I think there is a new trust between the two administrations. And you're right, 20 years down the road, what about then? We will get back to you. And about the question about the other park, we can have our Director of Recreation, Lori Stasiak, talk to you about what the plans are to put a new ballpark in, and she was completely in agreement with this, which is kind of unusual considering she's the recreation director. So I feel comfortable about it. We can get her to come and talk to the group about it at your next meeting.
Marian, if I could just add into, because I was part of the discussion when we were originally working on this. I don't even remember when that was. I believe, and I may be wrong about this, but I believe that there is something built into that agreement to guarantee that there would be park space in perpetuity that would be accessible to the public.
Mm-hmm. Right.
I don't know the specifics of that language, but I think that may already be in there in some capacity.
Can I?
Adam has a question. He's been waiting quite a while. His hand has been up. Would you like to unmute yourself and ask the question, Adam?
Yeah, actually, I'll defer Mark. I think Mark's got a question. His hand was up before mine, so
Oh, okay.
I'll let Mark
Okay.
go, and then I'll go next.
I didn't see
Yeah.
that. Okay.
Oh, that's all right.
Thank you. Sam, thank you. That you said a lot of what I had to say. But one thing, I love those trees too. And I have a property and I have lost 75% of my trees on my property. So I know the problems with oak trees also. But a lot of people here, I could look out my front window and I look at that open space out there. People bought their property because of that open space. And if giving the property, all the property makes it a one-story building, I would be much happier than a two-story, looking at this two-story wall, especially like Regina, you're on that side, out at this big building right there to the residents that live immediate area. I mean, I'm a yes vote on this. That's
And I think lighting, the lighting will be an issue if it's a 2-story more so than a 1-story.
Yeah, for whatever it's worth, it's literally in my backyard. And I would much prefer to look at a 1-story building than a 2-story building. And either way, there's going to be a school behind my house, no matter what. And that's true for most folks who live on Majestic Street. And yes, I think most of the neighbors who I've talked to, Mark, you included, would much prefer a 1-story to a 2-story building.
Adam?
All right, cool. I guess. So my question would be, and I gotta say, I really appreciate what Sam and Mark said. I don't get a vote. I'm a renter in town. I've been here for 10 years, but I do love the town. I would have a question about those oak trees. They are 100 years old, which means what kind of shape are they in to begin with? Like, I think that would do something to help a lot of people if like, hey, we found out those trees aren't in that good a shape anyway. They're probably only have another 10, 20 years before they would need to be cut down. And then also on top of that, like what happens if the school doesn't get this property? I mean, we already going to lose the ballpark because like Dr. Bazzi has said, or Dr. Bazzi, I'm sorry, Dr. Bazzi said, half of or a part of that ball field is on the school's property. So it's gone regardless. So instead we're going to have this weird piece of grass that, what is it really going to be used for? So I would much prefer if the school took it over and said, hey, let's turn it into playgrounds, usable space. And then that weird strip that has the trees, again, what would that be used for if the school didn't get it? Like it's going to be a weird middle space that has older trees that who knows what their lifespan is. So I would just really like to see the school take that whole property, develop it so that it would be a nice green space that a lot of people could use, especially in the summertime when school is not in session. I think it would turn into a great space for, kids of all ages and even adults, I guess, too, to be able to use that property.
This kind of ties in. Lucy in the chat had asked if there was an arborist at all being involved with the plans. I don't know if that's...
Jamie, I'll default to you on that.
You have to unmute yourself, Jamie.
Yeah, no, sorry. I was typing an email to someone. Yeah, I was listening. Arborists, yeah, they have landscape architects and civil engineers, and there's a lot of, like I said, they have a huge team involved in this, and they're bringing on more people as needed. So that's the answer. When we get to the traffic, they're going to bring in traffic engineers. It's just kind of as needed as we go along the project. So we don't have arborists on board yet, or landscape designers, because we haven't got to that point yet.
Lynn and Nancy, you have a question, or your hand's raised. If you want to unmute.
Okay,
yep.
Pat, you'll be next. Go ahead, Lynn and Nancy, sorry.
Oh, great. All right. So yeah, there was just a couple questions that I put in the chat. So I just wanted to reference those. something, I think it was, maybe Adam was saying, he mentioned the health of the trees. Was it discussed at any point in time about having like a tree assessor? Because oak trees can live up to 300 years, right? And these ones are just like shy of 100. So maybe if we could have like, those people assess it, a tree assessor, to see. And, again, going to the trees, there was mention if the roots are damaged, right, during construction, okay, would that be damaging the tree? But who would be making that determination if the tree could survive with the amount of root damage that was done? So again, would it be the construction company making that call, or, somebody who that's their area of expertise?
Yeah, what happens typically in a construction project is they will determine which trees have to stay or which trees get protected. And then the construction management company, based on information from the civil engineers and architects, will put up barriers around those trees so that the construction traffic and the work doesn't impede or affect the root systems at all. So they'll put up snow fence or whatever far enough away from those trees to protect them. And that's typically what happens on job sites.
Okay, Pat, you're next. You got to unmute yourself.
I was just wondering if they have any idea whether or not during the building process of doing all this, are they expecting any of the adjacent streets to be closed?
No, the plan we would not be closing streets. We would have to tie in utilities, so it might be a single lane closure as they do, water taps, electrical taps, depending on where the building utility feeds come from. But there would be no plans to close streets down at this point.
Okay, I think Sam's next. You'll,
I was wondering about timeline. I mean, this is a very odd set of circumstances in that you have to get permission to design on 7 versus 11 acres. And until you know which site you're on, you're kind of twiddling your thumbs, kind of, sort of. And so at what point in time do you have to press the go button on 7 acres because you haven't gotten a firm commitment on 11? If that makes sense?
Yes, that makes sense. Right now, the project is scheduled to start where we're actually going to start construction in the spring of 2022, so next spring. And then not this spring, the following spring. And then construction will be completed in the fall of 2023. So backing that process up, fairly in the next few months, we're going to have to hit the go or no go button on the 7 versus 11 acres. So we have months to work this out.
That doesn't leave much time.
No, that's why we want those.
Well, we're talking April, May, we have to have a decision made.
Yeah.
Sylvia's had her hand up. Yeah.
If I was reading correctly, there's only going to be 3 grades, kindergarten, 1st and 2nd grade. Why do you need all that land for 3 grades? This isn't a high school. It's only 3 grades.
Correct.
That seems like a lot of land use for just for 3 grades. And we need to do something about the traffic on Rosewood, which is always backed up during drop off and pickup time. It's horrible.
The reason is because we only have one building K2 and one building 3-5 district wide. So rather than have 2 or 3 or 4 elementary schools, our buildings, typically elementary schools, even a K5 building has 500, 450 students, very similar to what we have. But because we're small enough, we can have we find value to have all kindergarten teachers in the same building. So we have a K2 structure and a 3-5 so that teachers can work in teams. If not, you would have 2 K5 elementary separated, but then again, half of the number of sections per grade level. So it's K1, 2, but it will have around 500 students in the building, just as we do currently at Ferndale Lower and just as we do at Ferndale Upper in our 3-5 building. So that, again, the land will help us maximize the traffic flow, because I actually live by a school as well, and pick up and drop off tend to be, 15 minutes in the morning and 15 minutes in the afternoon. There tends to be some, but I've seen schools where they've had better designs have less traffic flow. But I understand what you're saying. K1, 2, kindergarten, first and second have a lot of kids. That's the reason.
Okay.
Let's jump to Sandra. Your hand raised.
Oh, no, you're not on mute.
Wait.
I think because the microphone is plugged in. Maybe
Yeah.
the headphones, yeah. From
Been having trouble. She hasn't been able to connect all hour.
Okay.
Can you write your question in the chat bar? I'm sorry, Sandra, we just can't hear you. And that way it'll be recorded and saved.
Let's jump to Lynn and Nancy then while Sandra's writing.
Hello. It was mentioned about the requirement for the fire loops that have to go around the whole entire school. And you said it was a law, school law, they have to follow it. I would imagine there would be some guidelines for that law as far as like dimension and how far away or how close that loop can or cannot be to like a school or to a fence line or that. Can we get some more details on that? Do you have it now? And if not, can we get some?
Yeah, we can get that. We don't have that now, but once again, they are maintaining the setbacks from the properties. They have to. They can't build on those setbacks. But as far as the size and dimension and all that, the civil engineer has that information. Dania, you want to add anything or? Okay.
And somebody had just quickly asked, did we have any reps from the neighborhood on the committee? We did. We went door to door during the bond vote. We had a lot of town halls at the different schools, and we had a lot of community representation on that committee. As I said, as we design the school, we'll come back and ask again to present where we're at to obtain feedback. And we'll continue to seek your voice within this process. Either way, I mean, even if we have to restrict it to 7 acres, we're going to come to you and show you those designs. If we get it to 11, we're going to come to you and show those designs.
Great, thank you. Sorry, I've been trying to keep up with reading through the chat too. There's so much happening. There was a point someone said that Alex was waiting to talk. Alex, did you want to talk?
Oh yeah, thanks, Jeff. Sure. I grew up on Meadowlark, just north of Oak Park Boulevard, which is where my folks still live. And then I have an elderly uncle who lives on Rensselaer, and they're all eligible to vote to lift the deed restriction. And when I went to Paul Best, which is now Fuel, which is at Rosewood and Northfield, there were 10 elementary schools in this district. And, I have to really applaud the district for being creative in their approach over the years and the decades as to how the contraction has happened and how there's less and less kids coming from each house now. And by the way, thank you for hosting CASA. CASA is a phenomenal program. Our 2 kids attended CASA. It is absolutely a fantastic concept. Thank you, Ferndale Schools, for hosting that. But what I wanted to say is going back to when I was a kid playing baseball at Jackson Park, and I played in the Oak Park leagues in the midgets and the juniors and the Bantam leagues. I mean, you had kids playing baseball all the time. I love baseball. I still love baseball. And, but that said, trends change. It hurts me to drive past Jackson and the best field, and very, very rarely do you see kids playing baseball anymore. You know, you can see it when you drive past there. You don't see kids playing baseball. So my comment to, not so much to the schools, but really probably to the city of Oak Park is, I wouldn't be so obsessed and so focused on replacing a ball diamond with another ball diamond. I think we probably, you know, there's ways to use open space and parkland that doesn't necessarily have to be a baseball diamond. So I throw that out there because, you know, recreational patterns do change. I mean, look at bowling, and even look at golf. Golf, you know, there are so many golf courses around, that industry is contracting now. So anyways, my comment was, I wouldn't be so obsessed about replacing a ball field with another ball field. Thank you.
Thank you. Like, I feel kind of the same way. I know that there's a baseball diamond at the end of Meadowlark, and there's a few more, like, at the park in Ferndale, right? I mean, it feels like there's a lot of baseball diamonds around that it won't be a loss for this one to not be there.
But by the way, I just have one more question. It's a logistical one. My folks who live on Meadowlark, also my uncle who lives on Rensselaer, they can't find their ballots. I'm not sure if they got one. My question is, can they get a replacement one?
Yes, yeah.
I never got one either.
If you didn't get one, please, I'm gonna put Bill Good's email address in the chat. Please reach out to him and we will look into it, see either why you didn't get one or just ensure you get a replacement one.
I will just say that as a comment, mine came yesterday. So it's possible that some are still being delivered. You might want to wait a few days to see if it comes.
Yeah, I would also add in that this vote is for the homeowner. And so if you are renting the property, the ballot will have been mailed to the homeowner of the property, not the current occupant of the property.
Can I just ask, I just have a quick question about the ballot really fast. I know it on the ballot, it says to sign it and then check yes or no. Do you need like people to print their names too? Is just a simple signature sufficient?
Is because we have, you know, on the ballot, it has the name of the home as well as the address. Yeah, so like if we wouldn't be able to decipher what it is, because for example, my signature, there's no way you would be able to see Dania Bazzi as a result of it, but the name matchup will be there. So yeah, but I appreciate the question, yes.
You are a doctor and they famously have bad handwriting, so.
You know, many times kids have pulled up a pant leg and have had a rash and said, do you know what this is? And I'm like, oh no, I'm sorry, sweetie, I'm that kind of doctor. You should have mom or dad check that out and see what's going on.
Sandra, your hand is still raised. Did you have another question? I know that we can't hear. Okay. Just double check. I feel like a lot of the questions have been answered in the chat. Is there anybody who's asked something that has not gotten an answer? If yes, like please unmute yourself and speak.
Gary's waving.
Hey guys. Hey Jeff. I was wondering, and I wrote Bill Good about this. I was wondering if and when there's going to be a Facebook group or a page implemented that we can tag people and share things in real time. How the process is going, what's coming, photos that are happening. I worry about the disconnect between the few handfuls of people that join these meetings and the rest that aren't in the loop.
Yeah, as we are moving through this project, we will be creating. I think we already have a web page on our website for bond information, and we will be sharing updates in magazines that are mailed home to you, as well as other avenues. And so, anytime you see something that you like on the website that we put up for the bond stuff, we also share it on our own Facebook page. You know, you can link that around and share it. And again, right now we're kind of at the beginning of the bond. We do have some really cool stuff that'll be coming out soon with the Early Childhood Center and some other projects that are getting rolling this summer. But so you'll start to see that stuff. And really, as we start to get more and more projects up and running, we'll be sharing more and more, not just about this particular project, but for all the projects from the upcoming bond, or the bond that passed last year.
Sandra had asked a question in the chat, and I know she's holding up a paper. I know that Dr. Bazzi replied to it in the chat, but I don't know if she saw that the architect is DMB.
GMB, yeah.
And there's a link that
Bill Good put in, yeah.
Yeah.
If you Google
And Sandra-
GMB architects and Google and put K-12, it should pop up.
I sent that directly to you, Sandra. I sent you that link.
Thanks, Adam. Lynn and Nancy, did you have another question?
Yep, a couple. Quick one, which we touched on briefly, and forgive me if I just for this one. You mentioned an arborist. Is that the same as like a sustainability designer, evaluator, surveyor?
No, our arborists typically just deal with the foliage, landscape, trees. The sustainability factor, when we talked to, I think someone had mentioned LEED certification. That is an architect who specializes in sustainability, using sustainable materials, alternative energies, finding ways to make the building much more efficient. Obviously, there's a balance there, though, because typically those technologies cost a lot more. So, we'll be looking at that too as the design progresses.
Okay, and then on top for that, there was a team and a company that did that redevelopment all along 9 Mile from like Coolidge to like Pinecrest. I had ran into somebody who worked with the company who did that design, and they had been mentioning like the sustainability thing, which I wasn't sure, that they was talking about like the materials used. I guess they gave me the impression it was trying to like preserve the landscape around it too.
Well, GMB has like landscape architects and stuff that will be looking at the landscape to obviously aesthetically make it as beautiful as possible, but also to make it easy to maintain and and preserve as much of it as they can.
Okay, great. And then the other thing that I had, there was a couple things that we, you guys said you were going to follow up on. And I was just, some of the things we had talked about was the legal team having guidelines in the purchase agreement or land contract, whatever it might be. And then information for guidelines for the fire loop, and then a public or third party vote tallying. Who's, with your group, is it going to be, who's going to do these follow-up items and address them, and when can we expect answers?
Jamie will follow up on with regards to the fire loop. In terms of a public opening, that will be Bill Good. I'll just ask Bill to keep all of the ballots sealed until we collect a large amount. We might do multiple ones because we need to know where we're at as the ballots come in. So when we get a chunk of ballots, we'll open and count and then repeat that process. But we can still do that and make sure that that's the case. As it relates to the attorney, we have to check that could take, I would think within a week we'll have some advisement. But we also have to have advisement because, as Jamie mentioned, there's certain restrictions that an attorney might not recommend that we put in to a deed restriction. In building schools, and Jamie's built many schools, there is a lot of surprises. When you start digging dirt, there was a time where he was building a school and he found old basements from previous developments over the years. So we have to be able to see what's, when we're going through this, it's almost like what came first, the chicken or the egg. And so there's a difficulty in making, again, commitments when there's a lot of work to do with the land in order to prepare it for the building of a 90,000 square foot building. We can, again, check with the attorney and see what their advisement is, and then we'll certainly report back probably within a week. So everything should be within a week. In terms of that, again, we just have to schedule a public opening after we start to get some back, but we have no issue to do that.
It was just a question asking if the school is going to have a basement. Do we know that? Is that?
No, it'll be slab on grade, meaning it'll be a poured flat concrete slab, and then the building will be built up from there. It'll most likely be built out of masonry. We haven't decided on the roof yet. I do want to mention though that when we designed the bond, we want this to be a 100-year building. This is not going to be a cheap elementary school. This is with all the costs, it's 25 million in construction, it's 30 million overall. It's going to be a top-notch elementary school. It's going to be one that people from all across the state are going to want to come tour. It's going to be that good. So we're very proud. We're excited. Dania and I are going to see this project through, and we're going to be happy for the community because it's going to be a win.
Dania, thank you for coming and giving us your time. Oh, everyone, I know we're over our normal 1 hour limit.
Oh, no, you're fine. And I apologize. I usually do not have anything right after this late, but there's a couple of things that need my attention this evening. But I thank the community for your time and your diligence and your partnership in this process.
One comment before we leave would be, the city of Oak Park is 100% behind this. This is a state-of-the-art investment in our city. Nearby homes will raise their property values because of this beautifully landscaped, brand new state-of-the-art building. If you haven't voted, if I could vote, I would be voting yes.
I agree. As former member of council, state rep for the area, and as I mentioned, it's in my backyard. I already sent in my yes vote.
Whew, it's 8:20.
Well, as I said, call, email. You want to go for a walk around the site? We are at your disposal, I promise. We thank you for your time and appreciate you very much. One, for the vote. It passed at around 80% in Oak Park. And thank you for the continued support. And I promise you, we won't let you down.
Thank you. Thank you for joining us. I mean, this has been really more informative, at least from my standpoint. I think probably everyone I can speak for and say that this has been really helpful. I don't really want to keep everyone so late. We had originally planned to do an Ask the Mayor questions segment of this meeting too. And I think we only have a few minutes left on our clock as far as the time limit of this meeting. So we have about, what, 9 minutes if anyone has any questions for Marian that you'd like to ask. Or for any of the people here, any of our guests. I know Charlie snuck in too. Thanks for the daily updates, Charlie, on what's going on with COVID. It's really nice to see that.
One thing probably would be good to mention is that one of our Oak Park residents works at Henry Ford Hospital and has lobbied that the city of Oak Park should be getting testing and vaccine. We were one of the hardest hit communities. We were a hot spot to begin with. And we've been hit hard. And she has lobbied successfully, and the city of Oak Park in its community center will be giving 100 vaccines a week. And there is a way to sign up that I will send to whoever's doing the minutes, and you will get it.
Pat, you have a question?
Unmute yourself, Pat.
Will that be right in Oak Park? Will the vaccines be given in Oak Park? Or are they going to send us somewhere else?
No, Pat, they are being given at the community center.
Oh, that would be wonderful.
And I was there yesterday for day one and have pictures. And it's right where we always go. It's convenient. It's friendly. It's very well organized. I am so delighted. Thank you, Lucy. Mayoral hug to you. She's a nurse. She volunteered, she said. It is right in our community center, Pat. And you need to sign up. You need to find somebody right now with a cell phone. Way to sign up. Anybody under 30 will loan you their cell phone so you can sign up. Or I'll come over with my cell phone so you can sign up. You've got my number, right?
No.
No? I'm going to put it, do you know how to do the chat, or do you want get a pencil? Here's my phone number.
Pencil's in the other room.
My cell number. Go get up and get it. We'll wait for you.
Okay, I have a quick comment real quick here. I'd like to do a cleanup. Whoever is willing to help, bring
Yes.
a bag. It'll be the 14th of March, which is a Sunday, 1 p.m. Show up at the upper elementary, and we're going to spread out. We'd like to go all the way on the service drive, possibly all the way to Woodward and back. A couple of us have been involved before. The other thing I just want to say, I'm still running my free fitness classes. That's Sunday, 10 a.m., Wednesday evening at 5 p.m. Also, all this takes place at Upper Elementary right on Rosewood.
Okay.
Pat.
Okay, I need the number from Marian.
Okay.
Great.
Pat, write this
Sorry.
down. This is my cell number. Everybody, please write this down if you don't have it. The city is open Monday through Thursday, and I am 24/7. 248 217 1883. So again, and I'll put it in chat for those of you who do chat. Mayor's cell 248-217-1883. You are not bothering me. That is why they pay me the big bucks.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I will be there with my cell phone. We're going to do this.
Thank you so much.
Jeff, is there any more questions for me? Because it's my 50th birthday tonight and I'm waiting, my family's waiting for me.
No, sorry. Happy birthday.
Oh, happy birthday. I can't
Happy
believe you spent your
birthday.
with us.
My family's waiting off in the distance for me. So if nobody has any other questions, I'm going to sign off. So everybody have a good
Birthday cake for you. Happy, healthy.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
I do not have an extra and another thing. So if anybody, I don't know how long you're.
I think we have about 4 minutes left on, and
You have
honestly,
4
that's
minutes?
probably good enough. I think everyone's.
I have a very quick announcement if I could, really fast. It's March's reading month. And so I've been doing reading to elementary kids via Zoom, which is so fun. But I also am doing a book drive for all the school districts in the 27th. So Ferndale Schools, Berkeley Schools, Oak Park Schools, and Hazel Park Schools, in partnership with BookBeat. So BookBeat has a wish list of books that were submitted by teachers from those 4 districts. So you could call BookBeat or email BookBeat or go to BookBeat and say you want to purchase a book for the March's Reading Month book drive. And you can either just say, I want to purchase a book that's about $20, or I want to purchase a book that's good for a 2nd grader, or if there's a specific class, or you can be as specific with them as you want. But you can purchase a book and it will be given to the district. And we're also collecting donations of gently used children's and young adult books that Marian Fontana, if anyone knows Marian, she lives in Huntington Woods. She's organizing the pickup for that. So I have a flyer with all that information. I'm just going to pop it in the chat really fast. Hopefully that works. Yes, it worked. It's in the chat.
Yeah, there it is. Okay, we have 2 minutes left. Anybody, any further pressing questions or anything you need to know?
Charlie would love to say something.
Yeah, Charlie.
Hey, sorry I don't have the camera on. I don't know if any of you have WoW internet, but boy, what a zany week it's been for WoW internet customers. So forgive me, I'm calling on my phone, but I'm our county commissioner, and I'd love to tell you anything and everything you could want to know about COVID or Oakland County government. I put my number in the chat, but I can say it again if y'all want, and I can put my email in there too. Spoken with most of you, I think, about any number of issues related to county government or COVID. So yeah, if there's anything, please reach out. Like the mayor said, would love to talk. That's why they pay us the big bucks.
And Charlie's been dutifully posting in our group and I think Oak Park neighbors too. Like every day, it's like seeing the statistics. It's nice. It's nice to see what's going on and to have that direct communication. So thank you.
I need Sig Glasser's number to give to council member Julie Edgar, because she's organizing a citywide cleanup and we'd like to coordinate with him.
Sure.
So you text it to me or?
Okay, yeah, area code is yours.
What's that?
894-2380.
What's, I got 2380 and what are the first three numbers?
Yeah, 894.
894. 2380. Got it.
Zig.
Thank you.
Yep.
Julie is very interested in community cleanups, and the environmental committee wants to get into that. So hugs to you for what you do, the free exercise classes and the wonderful cleanups.
The cleanup's going to be, it's the school at the end of the other school, right? The one on Roanoke or Rosewood. Yeah.
Ferndale Upper Middle.
Yeah, Rosewood and Northfield is the intersection.
Mm-hmm.
Good. Okay. Well, it's 8:30. I think we've done good tonight.
This was wonderful. She is a remarkable person, the superintendent of Ferndale Schools, and as ethical as they come. And I couldn't say that before her. I'm thrilled that she's the one that's organizing this and reaching out to everyone. She is honest, competent, and transparent, and good-hearted.
Can I throw my 2 cents for a second?
Sure, always.
I just got a curious question. You just said Oak Park's getting their allocation of vaccines for COVID-19. Oakland County was running out of the vaccines. They just got their allotment for vaccines for COVID-19. I had to go out to Novi to get I'm getting my second shot this Sunday. Oakland County's been running out of vaccines. How is Oak Park getting it this week?
I don't know how things are distributed. I know that the resident who works at Henry Ford Hospital called the city manager and said, we can get you 100 vaccines because it is a community at risk and it should get some special handling. My husband and I went to Ypsilanti to get a shot. So if we knew it was coming to the community center, but it's a blessing. We want everybody to get the vaccine as soon as they possibly can, wherever they possibly can. So we should all be safe.
And Marian, you said, just so I have it for the minutes correctly, you said that Oak Park is receiving 10,000 doses this week?
No, 100.
100.
100. Oh my God, 10,000.
Yeah,
we get the whole city vaccine 3 days that way. No.
Yeah, right.
I think today we might have started with 200, but she thinks she can get us 100 a week.
100 a week.
So it's Wednesday morning from 9 to 12 at the community center. And I just think it's a total blessing.
That's a pretty tight restriction.
that people who can't get to Ypsilanti and far out and can't use the cell phone thing will be able to, you need an appointment, you need to go on your cell phone, and I don't have the number right here, I can't find it, but I will send it directly to Peter, who will get it to the secretary to put in the minutes. You have to go on and register at Henry Ford on their website, which is not difficult or anything. And the cities are starting to, I got mine because I was old, not because I was essential. But they're starting to consider city council members essential. When there's open meetings again, and we have to have open meetings, then they're going to start making sure that all the council members are vaccinated as well. Sandy, did that answer your question?
It basically did. I don't see how that's going to get everybody taken care of that quick. Oakland County's been running out. 100 vaccines a week are going to be gone before you can even think about it. Making an appointment, that's a big circle. It took me 3 months to get one. I ended up in Novi. That's from going to the Suburban. I couldn't get anyplace else. Nobody has enough.
We registered at 3 hospitals and at Oakland. I was really relieved that Oakland County started Save My Spot, because I felt, okay, at least I'm in line. And then after I got my COVID shot, Oakland County said, they sent me an email and said, you can call for an appointment. Sent back that, thank you, I already got my appointment, give it to somebody else. And they have a number for it's Remove My Spot. So once you get it, if you registered at Oakland County, it would be a kindness to let them know that you already got it. And so they, it'll facilitate other people getting their dose faster.
Right, I got another one seat.
Is it just COVID roulette? I mean, I registered at Oakland County, Myers and Rite Aid, and got called by all 3 of them.
I can't even register.
Maybe I should go to the casinos down there.
I can't even register.
Yeah, we're going to get you tomorrow, Pat. We're going to get you in tomorrow.
What time should I call?
I'm going to bring my computer and my cell phone, and the 2 of us are going to sit there.
What time should I call you?
I have to, let me think. Give me your number, Pat.
Okay, it's 248.
Okay.
398.
Okay.
7693.
7693.
Yeah. But I will be out of the house between 10 and about 12 something tomorrow.
Okay. Well, let's see.
Well, just get up there in your pajamas. Just show
I have
up.
2 appointments tomorrow. Pat, I'll call you and we'll make a time. It doesn't have to be, during business hours, because it's by computer and you go online and all of that. So
Okay, well, I'm curious because I'm 85 years old and I have a heart condition, and I have not even been able to get a contact anywhere.
Right. I'm first nurse on call is.
I've already tried that.
And you couldn't
I
get
got
on?
nothing. I got to run around. Around.
You know what? You and me, kid, we're going to be like this.
Okay.
All right.
And also,
bye everyone.
Oh,
bye everybody.
Pat or Sandy, if you want to call me, please do call, because I also can answer any of your questions. And Pat, it's very disappointing to hear that the nurse on call didn't help you. So find my number in the chat.
I already got that taken care of. I'm going Sunday for my second shot, and I got on it's the Oakland County website. You can go ahead and register really quick. Oakland County website gets you right in there.
Well,
Great.
I think we're slowly dissolving here. So
You're right. There's only 17 people here now.
I hope that next meeting, Pat is vaccinated, or at least there have been major strides in that effort.
I hope so too.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Like, I'm counting on Marian. She left, but
Yeah.
I'm going to hold her to it. Thank you, everyone, for joining us tonight. I know it went long. If you have questions, comments, anything, get in touch with us. We're on Facebook or email, or I'm around. And have a good night.
Bye, everybody.
Thank you. Thanks, everybody.
Really.
Bye for now.
Bye-bye.
All right. So now I'm going to save this video. I guess I should stop it, maybe pause it, stop it.
And I think it will auto save too.
After stopping, you'll receive email when the cloud recording is ready.